I first want to share with you that occupational therapy is not just relevant to children who have special needs, who have developmental difficulties, but it is also relevant for many, you can say so-called normal children. One of the effects of pandemic on children, on any child, has been their deprivation, you could say, towards normal social stimulation. You all are aware of it. When these children have gone back to school, there are a lot of times difficulties with adjustments. They have difficulties with social relationships. They just have difficulties with sitting down at one place, or maybe just relating to what is going on around them, because they have never been exposed to it. Most of these children did their play school in an online mode. Even those children might need occupational therapy. Now, when it comes to children with developmental difficulties, there are certain things that you see more commonly, which I see more commonly, especially with a particular diagnosis called autism spectrum disorders. Now, these children, apart from significant social difficulties that we just talked about, also have certain other difficulties which are more relating to communication, speech, behavior, and they have some specific mannerisms, so to say. Maybe they might line up objects. They might have a lot of comfort, having sameness of activities, having sameness of routine. And if something doesn't go in line with what they are thinking, it just upsets them. Now, it is difficult for parents to understand this whole thing because these children typically are physically absolutely fine. Now, in terms of emerging trends in OT, I want to share about a specific concept called sensory integration. To give you a simple example, if you have seen sometimes of any other child who is watching an object very intensely, especially the spinning objects, like the fidget spinner, he actually might be doing something called stimulating his visual system. Remember that all children who are fond of gadgets, or who are, sometimes we use the word addicted to gadgets, are actually doing stimulation to their visual system, and they just can't give it up, because it is difficult for them. The sensory systems are so much of part of your brain and neurological system that it's difficult for them to kind of separate it out of it. But therapy can help them as well. The other impact on special needs children when they have autism spectrum disorders or any other physical or social communication difficulties is usually their biorhythms get affected. And biorhythms means your combination of your sleep cycle, eating, toileting, habits. All those they come under biorhythms. They also come under what we call as, in therapy line, we call it self-regulation, regulation of your own systems. You might see children not wanting to eat anything which comes under food or edible, but they are actually mouthing objects, which includes furniture. They might laugh without a reason, which means their emotional regulation is not very good. In all these areas, OTs can help. Now, how do OTs help? As the underlying mechanism is that a long time, maybe in 1960s, somebody said that the brain and the behavior has a connection. What you see externally in these children who have developmental difficulties, special needs, behavior problems, when we use that word, is actually that you see externally is only the behavior part. The layer is very external. But what OTs want to do is to analyze what might be happening at the brain level, and also treat it in such a way that the brain level difficulty can be taken care, and hence the behavior will automatically change. So, like I said, one of the recent trends that I wanted to share today, since 7 minutes were given, is the sensory systems. We all know about them, the sense of touch, sense of taste, sense of smell. You all have it as a part of your bodily system. Now, when you have sensory integration issues, you might feel good in doing things like thumb sucking. And there are a lot of children who may not have special needs who also do thumb sucking. Toe walking, rocking, flapping. Now, there are a lot of people among us who, when they sit in a lecture or they listen to something, they start shaking their legs. That also comes under sensory. So what I want to say is that OT or a therapy is not just required for people who have a diagnosed special needs and development difficulties, but they can be used for other things as well. If you have sensory issues, you are overly very sensitive to certain things. Maybe you are not very comfortable touching a color. you're not very comfortable touching a pencil, and hence you hate writing, and hence the teacher will complain to the parent that your child is not interested in writing. There could be some behavior problems due to sensory. For example, from the child's perspective, if he wants some pressure in his hands, he might actually push other child. He doesn't do it because he wants to push the other child. He does it because he wants some nice sensation to his hands. And that is why we should not see the external behavior. We should see what is going underlying. They might also bite children, but more because like sports people, they chew a chewing gum. They get some stimulation inside the mouth. Similarly, children can bite. Tantrums and meltdowns may not be only a behavior problem, may not be just an stubbornness or rigidity of children. It can actually be a real problem with their neurological systems, turning out as meltdowns. Hyperactivity, very commonly word used now, especially after the pandemic. Children are not sitting at place. They are just not very calm and gentle at one place. All those hyperactivities are actually termed as, in our language, we call it movement seeking. We don't call it hyperactivity. You are seeking movement, and it's okay. When you are stressed, you pace back and forth in your room or from one room to another. You are also hyperactive at that time. Fear and apprehension can be a part of difficulties in sensory systems, and you can have children with special needs, children with developmental difficulties can actually have fear for very irrational reasons. They can be afraid of a logo of a car also. They can be afraid of a particular advertisement in a television, and we cannot say that they are doing a tantrum. We have to find out what is the underlying reason for their fear and apprehension. They can have balance problems, very typical with children having physical difficulties, but also very common with children who have the special needs, the psychological difficulties, with sensory difficulties. Children can also have high pain threshold, which means they get hurt, but they do not express or they do not feel it. And they might actually, it might be discovered that they are hurt just because somebody inspected their body and skin. Children can also have difficulties with learning very simple tasks, holding a pencil, turning a page of a paper, coloring, drawing can be very, very difficult for them. Not because they don't want to do it, but because it is really difficult. They can also have difficulties matching up with their age level peers in terms of when they are playing with them. Maybe they are doing cycling or skipping or jumping. They don't match up with them, and then they have secondary social problems because the other kid is too fast in compared to them and he doesn't want to play with them. Now, what do you do about these things? And again, in a nutshell, the therapy is called sensory integration therapy. Occupational therapy is the name of a profession. Sensory integration is the name of the specific therapy. It has a very simple meaning. Active, individually tailored motor activities created in play and given with a challenge. So if you see the picture and if you can understand that the picture is a symbolic of what we want to do through sensory integration therapy. There is a lot of physical activities being done. There is a lot of equipment and amazing kind of activities. You could call it a gym for children. You can call it a play area for children. My experience is that the so-called normal peer of the child is equally excited in that place where this child is coming for therapy. Apart from doing sensory integration therapy, occupational therapist also uses certain other therapies which might be more relevant today as well, is the expressive arts, the dance and movement therapy. Play therapy is also used. It is somewhere where you can use art, but you could also use certain other activities as well. Here are certain examples of some other people, apart from those you already know of, who have not just beaten the disability, but they have also come up and become a symbol or a role model for others. I'll just show you these pictures. You can probably look for them in Google. And these people typically have autism or ADHD as their core diagnosis. Temple is extremely famous. She has autism. She is a veterinary professor. And she says that you need autism brain, because without autism brain, you will not have scientists. You will only have social people. And this is what Einstein said, and it is believed that Einstein had either autism or dyslexia. but he had something. Thank you.